stop. It's NVIDIA time. So of course, NVIDIA has earnings coming up in less than 24 hours, and we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna jump into the charts and look at some of the potential outcomes for NVIDIA, and I'll give you my prediction. Jumping straight into it, looking at NVIDIA right now, I mean, we can see that it is up there. If you look at this little white line here, this is something that I said when I seen this pullback back in April. There were actually contracts for 930 that had a pretty good premium on them at the time. That has changed at the time of recording. So if you weren't looking at it back in April, you're probably too late to benefit off this huge move that I think the whole market's predicting that's gonna happen. When I look at it, I'm like, okay, it hit over that 930. So I'm in profit on an options trade. A lot of people are, by the way, because we all were predicting this. And this is something that I want to touch on when a lot of people are starting out. If you're going in and you're like, oh, NVIDIA earnings are coming up right now, let me look at the options chain, let me try to find some ways to benefit, let me chase it. Don't do that. That's the number one way to lose all of your money fast. I'm making videos like this to educate you on some of my decisions in the past that I made and the things that I looked at setting me up for tomorrow's earnings call, so you can be ready for the next time. There's gonna be opportunities in NVIDIA and a bunch of other stocks as well. So if you learn how to fish and how to actually look at these charts and look at some of this fundamental data we're gonna jump into, you will be in a better place. Because remember, here at Broke to Breakthrough, we're all about breaking generational wealth curses. And if you're looking at this and you're just like, I don't know if I wanna look at growth stocks, or I wanna be more conservative, or if I wanna just be balanced in ETFs and a little bit in the growth, you can get that quiz down below just by clicking on the link that you can answer just 5 quick questions to find out what type of investor you are. But anyway, back in April, I seen it. I was like, cool, liquidity pool happened right here. I want to see what the options contracts are looking up for the next earnings report. And that's when I put that actual horizontal line there at 930 or around it, just to find out what that actual strike price was. But we're not going to get deep into that stuff. But I love the history and going back and looking how stocks performed during last earnings periods. So if we go in here and that E down there, for those of you who don't use TradingView, that just means that was the last earnings. We're going to take a bit more of a granular look at this than a lot of people on YouTube actually do. 21st of February was last quarter's results. So looking at that, we can see that we had that classic liquidity flush. So this is something that a lot of smart money or institutional investors do to flush out newbies like you and I when we're just getting started trading. It'll be going, it'll pull back hard, and then it will gap up like crazy on that earnings date or around the earnings date there. And then at this point, a lot of you guys would have got probably flushed out here, if I'm being honest. Because you would have been like, oh, it's going to go up from here, and you got flushed out just right in here. We're not going to go and get into trading strategy. I'm going to dive deep into that in some other videos, but that's something I want you to look at. Like, whew, swift pullback, gap up, and it ran on from there. And this is where we sit at today, like chilling at one of the all-time highs that was established way back when in March. So it's running hot right now, and that's why I get worried when I look at something like this. And I'm going to look at it at an even broader picture, because I'm not just looking at stocks in isolation. I'm actually going in and looking at the whole context. So we're going to look at a couple different things. I think the first thing we're going to look at is the NAS 100 or NDX. I can see that the NASDAQ is also running pretty hot as well, near an all-time high. And honestly, all this is due to some of the blowout earnings from some of the other tech companies, which is amazing, but it's something that gives me pause, right? Because things might be running a little bit too hot. But when I get into some fundamentals like EPS and stuff, it still doesn't look like NVIDIA's out of steam. But remember, what we're looking at right now is NDX or NAS 100, which tracks the NASDAQ top 100 tech stocks. And then I like to get another cross reference of things when I look at it. So I'm looking at VGT. This is one of my favorite ETFs for information technology with Vanguard, which is my preferred fund, not a sponsor. I just like them when I'm building a safe foundation. And I always recommend their funds to people because of low fees and the history of them when people are just getting started. But anyway, as you can see, VGT is also running up as well. So, okay. I'm looking at that and I'm like, all right, I can see all those things are sitting high, but don't get me wrong. Like freaking NVIDIA has the potential to move the whole market. So all that stuff I just showed you could mean nothing, but I like to look at it anyway in comparison with the last earnings and what happened. And if we go back to the NAS 100 back in February 21st, when those last earnings happened for NVIDIA, we can see already that it moved the whole technology market. So if we go here, we can see that, boom, end up moving that whole tech market there with their earnings alone. And it could happen again, but man, the market's gonna really push hard. It's gonna be insane if it is able to push it that high. So I'll give you what my actual expectation is for NVIDIA after earnings. I think the market may pull back and it could run a bit, but I don't know if it's gonna run as hot as it did before, just based on the cushion that we have above, but could be totally wrong. NVIDIA is insane. There's so much money being made in their key sectors that anything could happen. That's why it's so exciting to be tracking these things. They announced their Blackwell chip. I think they just bought another smaller company as well. So they are doing their thing. Shout out to Jensen. So I also like to dive in and look at things like the fundamentals behind it. Like I was showing you some technicals. I love fundamentals as a baseline. Then I get into technicals when I'm actually ready to strike and make a decision. But if I look in here now, one thing that a lot of people don't look at, they'll look at a company and they'll look at overall revenue, their balance sheets, without getting granular and breaking down where that money's coming from. So if you're already looking at the screen and seeing this chart, we can see right now that compute and networking has went ballistic for NVIDIA, and that's the key driver of all of this growth. Remember, in a lot of my videos, I'll talk about AI data centers as a alternative play and getting involved in REITs and things that hold data centers for AI. And remember, the brain or compute power behind this is powered by NVIDIA right now, with a lot of competitors on the horizon. But look at these numbers, man, like next level. Like 2020, 6.84 billion, 2021, 11 billion. So that's almost doubled between 2020 and 2021. And a lot of this was driven by the crypto craze as well, because this should have those GPUs and stuff in it that people were buying, and the compute power that really rose due to the power of mining for Bitcoin and stuff like that. How those processors were just crazily overpriced when you were actually trying to grab them back then. So I think a lot of that around this time was attributed to that. And then NVIDIA just has a knack for being at the right place and the right time for the current market situations. Because another bump like AI, remember, I think I heard about AI around, it had to be 2022, I think, maybe late 2022, if I'm not mistaken. I heard about ChatGPT and stuff, and just look at between 2022 and 2023, holy friggin' cow, like 3+X on compute and networking, and that's even up even higher this year if we get into some recent data. So I like to get granular like that so everyone can understand where these companies are actually making their money, so they can make informed decisions and they know what to look for. So when you're looking at that earnings report, go straight to compute and networking and see how that went, because they're driving the whole AI market with their data centers and the compute power that they are putting out with NVIDIA. So to recap, this could go any way with NVIDIA. As you can see, the whole market, from what I showed before, from those different indices and ETFs to track the tech sectors, that things are running pretty hot. Like, it could be a buy the rumor, sell the news situation, but I mean, they have so much stuff going for them, and AI is just getting stronger and stronger, but there are competitors coming on board as well. I'm excited to make my next video where we can actually go through the earnings call and report and break down this thing in more granular detail for NVIDIA. Let me know in the comments what you think's going to happen. One thing I will say though, for a lot of people who jump in and they're watching videos like this about NVIDIA, you're somebody who's chasing that crazy growth and you may be a new investor. Click the link below for my top 5 mistakes that traders make guide, and take the quiz to find out what type of investor you are. Are you aggressive? Are you conservative? Or are you more balanced? Check those resources out, because I want to teach everyone here how to fish, because I want your whole family to eat. I don't want to be the only one sitting here winning. We all win together. Each one teach one. Because here at the Broke to Breakthrough community, we're trying to leave more behind for our families than just debt when we die. And if you love this video, check out the video linked above right here or right here somewhere, because it is a banger as well.